Well, folks, I think I've made a big mistake. Gosh, oh my goodness. Get in here. Why didn't I do this sooner? My gosh. Another giant, another giant. Look at that, y'all. I can't believe what I just caught. Yes! Now, watching that intro may leave you wondering what the heck Tyler is talking about. What is the huge mistake that I have made in my fishing? And honestly, I'm not sure if it's the largest mistake I've ever made, but it's one of, and it is the mistake of throwing away all my monofilament line. So today's video is going to be a discussion on fishing lines with some awesome on-the-water testing of a certain lure category that has kind of changed my tune on the effectiveness of monofilament for every angler. But I do need to be transparent for a second, and that is that I, as a creator and an angler, am sponsored by and I've worked with for many years Seaguar lines, the world leader in fluorocarbon line production and one of the leaders in braided lines. And so if you're expecting me in this video to say that monofilament's the only line you need, you can throw away all your fluorocarbon, it's a marketing gimmick, A, I'm not gonna say that, and B, I don't quite believe that, and so that's not what this video is gonna be about. I will be talking about the effectiveness of mono, but I still think there are benefits to both braid and fluorocarbon for every angler, so just wanted to get that out there. But the topic of today's video is that I have totally forgotten about monofilament, and it is about time I give it a good old-fashioned test. Now, don't get me wrong, I've used monofilament for years and years growing up fishing off the dock with my grandpa, but as soon as I got into tournament fishing in like late middle school, early high school, I wanted the best possible line for all the techniques I was using, and for me, the ones that I tested and found that were best were fluorocarbon and braid for almost everything I was fishing. And so you may ask, Tyler, why did you forget about monofilament for so long? Well, to be honest, I just kind of used what I thought was good enough, and if it wasn't broke, don't fix it. And so that's why monofilament, I never really found much of a use for because I was doing just fine with braid and fluoro. But especially with topwaters, I'm gonna talk about this here in a second, I think there may be a use case for every angler to have at least one monofilament spooled up reel for certain types of topwater fishing, and maybe even more beyond that. We'll kind of give a synopsis in the outro. But I wanna talk real quick, just for those of you who may not have a good understanding or maybe not enough experience fishing all three types of lines, I kind of wanna go over, again, my anecdotal experience with fishing fluorocarbon, monofilament, and braid. Starting off with the knots you tie. How good is the knot strength on monofilament versus fluorocarbon? And to be honest, I think it's about the same. Now, you're gonna see later on in this video as I test them on the water, and I've noticed this for years and years, so it wasn't just the one line that I bought or the two lines that I got that were mono. I've noticed that the wiriness of the line per se, after you tie your knot, is much worse on monofilament than it is at least the Seaguar fluorocarbons that I use, and VizX being my favorite. And so after you tie your knot, if the line is all kinds of wiry and it looks like it was pulled and has some memory, I can't imagine the knot is as good as a line that doesn't have that immediate memory. I don't have any scientific backing to that. I just have found it looks worse. And so for my confidence, I like knots for most lures on fluorocarbon more than I do monofilament. Could that be user error? It could be, but I tie my knots slow and methodically, and I don't change the technique, whether it's mono or fluoro. And so for me, I just have more confidence on not tying with fluorocarbon over monofilament. But have I lost fish on monofilament because of my knot strength? I haven't. So maybe if I was going for like 200-pound fish in saltwater, I would want to make sure my knot strength is scientifically the best. But again, for both mono and fluoro, knot strength, probably the same for you and I. Now for braided line, comparing to the resin ones, I'll do this on every topic I talk about. I'll do mono versus fluoro and then bring braid in. The knots are better on braid with some knots and worse on others. And so you just got to find out what knot works for you, but braid definitely can slip as compared to resins that kind of like not grind, they kind of grab on each other. Factor 2, abrasion resistance. How much can your resin lines be ground up against rocks and the sides of sticks and the teeth inside a fish's mouth before they end up breaking? That's abrasion resistance. And again, I really think it's about the same on each one. I can find videos on YouTube of guys who hate fluorocarbon, who cater their test with sandpaper in a certain way so it looks like the monofilament wins, and I've seen other companies and other YouTube channels do the exact opposite. And so not to say that like your tests as a YouTuber aren't good enough, but I mean, the sample size that you have is too small. Usually the amount of spools, you could have a bad spool, a bad batch. So it's honestly impossible for the average consumer to truly test if abrasion resistance is better on fluorocarbon versus monofilament. So to me, it's kind of a wash there. They both are relatively abrasion resistant. Now braided lines, much more abrasion resistant up to a point. So if fluorocarbon or mono gets a small nick in it, it doesn't
doesn't decrease the resistance by that much, but if braid gets a nick in the right area to it, it can be much, much less strong. So that's braid versus resin. Factor 3 is the stretch of the line. And honestly, I can't tell the difference. I did a test years ago comparing the stretch of mono to fluoro, and I found them to be about the same. I know people talk about like high tension stretch. So when you immediately set the hook, is that different on like a strong hook set stretch versus a slow stretch like this? Who knows? They feel about the same to me. Braided line, of course, is not made of nylon. 100% no stretch. Factor 4 is the invisibility of the line. When you put monofilament and fluorocarbon underwater and compare them, I've seen several videos do it, they're about the same. Now I know fluorocarbon has a different light refraction level, if that's the right way to say it. So as compared to monofilament in crystal clear water, the fish may see more refraction from the sunlight coming in and hitting monofilament, but really in slightly stained to dirty water especially, the fish cannot tell a difference as long as they have the same, if not worse, eye quality than an underwater camera does. It doesn't really matter. And of course, braided line is not invisible at all. It's totally visible, but when you're fishing braid, you usually don't have stealth as a factor to worry about. Now, factor 5 is longevity. How long does the line last on your reel, and how much memory does it accrue just sitting there over time or being used over long periods of time? And to me, I've used both lines over a decent period of time now. I have found fluorocarbon does have a slight edge in terms of longevity, especially in really cold and really warm air temperatures. And I know it depends on the brand, but I really think that fluorocarbon has less memory even over a few months of sitting there than monofilament does. And of course, braid, no memory at all. It can be on there for thinking 7 years, 10 years, have no memory. And factor 6 that applies to factors 1 to 5, and this is really the one that helps bolster fluorocarbon's case as a better fishing line, is that on average, the fluorocarbon lines diameter to pound test ratio will be better than every other type of fishing line, monofilament, copolymer, in the same pound test range. Because as you can see here, from Seaguar InvisX to Berkeley Trilene Big Game, I'll let you pause and read this for yourself for a second, fluoro just runs thinner for the same strength as monofilament. But Tyler, you mentioned topwater a little while ago, and so if you're gonna be testing a topwater lure, why even consider fluorocarbon in this comparison? That's a great point. Honestly, braid versus monofilament, as they are both floating lines, fluorocarbon being a sinking one, that's the ones I wanted to test, and I've thrown all my topwaters up until recently on nothing but braid. It could be as low as 30 pound, 40 pound, oftentimes though it's 50 or 65 for heavy cover. And because, like I said, I thought good enough was good enough with my topwaters, I just think that was a broken line of thinking, and so I decided I'm gonna test with my treble hook topwaters especially, so ploppers, poppers, and walking baits, giving monofilament a try.
I'm about to catch one right there. Oh my goodness, big smallie, big smallie, big smallie. Let's get down to him. Oh, what a perfect spot. I'm gonna show y'all, no idea how well he's hooked. I just want to get past that little eddy. Smallmouth on a plopper. Here goes spud lock. I'm gonna get the net. Oh, his colors. Oh no, he's got one hook at the bottom lip. Get in here. Get in here, get in here, get in here. Yes, sir. All right, not as big as I thought, but beautiful fish. One hook in the bottom lip. How do I get him? Thank you, buddy. Oh, yes. What a beautiful bass right there.
And the reason why I wanted to give mono on my top waters, specifically my treble hooked ones, a try is because recently I've lost a few fish in both the boat and the kayak on the hook set portion. And also as the fish takes a run near the bank, near the kayak, near the boat, I've lost some fish there as well. And so even though monofilament having stretch to it is normally seen, I guess, in marketing and in YouTube videos as a negative as compared to braided line having zero stretch, I actually think it could have been a positive to have some stretch in my line for both the hookup ratio on treble hook topwaters as well as the landing and the fighting ratio. Because even though braided line does allow you to get really good hookups if the treble hook's in the right location, if it's not, you can lose fish on braid, and I wanted to test that out. So when a company came to me and said, hey Tyler, we know you're with Seaguar for braid and fluorocarbon, but we have a prototype mono we'd like you to test. Can you do it? I said, you know what? Absolutely. So I spooled up my Speed Spool RX with 14-pound prototype monofilament, headed out to the water to a river with the small Mach patroller, and gave it a try.
Oh my gosh, big one, big one, big one, big one, big one, big one. Holy cow. Big smallie, big smallie, big smallie. At least he looked huge when he ate. Yeah, 4-pounder. 4 pounder, spot lock us here. Let's go ahead and scoop ya, because you got 2 hooks on you. Oh my gosh. All right, not a 4 pounder, but a long 3 pound, beautiful bronze back. Absolutely smoked the white patroller right as it landed in the tree. I mean, it was just like boosh right away. One more look at this fish, just a gorgeous smallmouth. Like I said, they are suckers for a topwater.
All right, so let's break down what happened on that catch, starting from the bite to the hook set to the landing job. So I cast my patroller all the way up. I'm talking like right on the backside of a current eddy where water was flowing. There was an overhanging tree with some vines. It was not a very treble hook friendly place. And it literally hit the water. Y'all saw it, fish exploded on it, and I set the hook. And honestly, I kind of enjoyed the hook set because even with the stretch, I was allowed to set the hook even harder, where maybe my adrenaline setting the hook that hard on braid could have pulled the hooks out, but it didn't happen. So got the hook up. Now during the fight, as soon as I got that fish away from, and I guess the current flowing down towards me probably helped get that fish away from the snaggy stuff, I really felt like I was in total control, even though the line had some stretch. Matter of fact, it kind of gave me some peace of mind. And when it came to landing that fish near the boat, the landing was perfect. Any kind of small runs the fish took, I was able to absorb because of the stretch. With braided line on my topwaters, I've always been able to set the hook and at least try in my mind to tell myself, you don't have to swing hard, you've got braided line. And so when I do that, I set the hook and I can kind of hold my rod and guide the fish away from the shallow laydown or the grass or the overhanging tree, what have you. With fluorocarbon, kind of no matter how hard I pulled, the fish was kind of in control for a second. So as long as they got away, I'm good. Now, a few days later with the exact same topwater on a different body of water, I got my second big fish on this new monofilament testing combo. And even though the bite occurred over open water, the fight and the landing job definitely transpired in a way that tested this monofilament.
We'll figure it out, y'all. It'll be slightly catfishing. Yes, yes! I got my topwater fish, it's a big one. Gosh! Get in here, get in here, yes! Come on, baby! Holy cow. That's the biggest one I've seen in this river. That's a 4 pounder. Oh my gosh. Absolute mega on the patroller. We have no pliers today because I'm a dummy. Finally got us one. Let's go. All right, fish, go join your buddies for now.
So as y'all saw, not just the hookup, not just the fight, but also the dang boat flip of that fish. Yeah, no, granted, I did get the timing perfectly on the boat flip, but the fact that I flipped it on 14-pound monofilament, even with the stretch, it could handle it, and I actually caught several more fish later on that day without even retying. I was mega impressed by this 14-pound monofilament. Now, would every brand and every type of mono have the exact same performance? I'm not so sure because, again, this is a prototype one. It is hopefully coming out soon. I think it's one of the best out there. But from not tying to castability, I mean, this thing absolutely bombed. Honestly, not nearly as bad as I thought it would as compared to braid. Now, I think my casting distance is still better on braid, but using monofilament for topwaters was not nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be. And I wish they made this line in a prototype above 14 pound because I wasn't just done testing after 2 days out on the water. So I went and bought another type of monofilament I found at the store, a relatively cheap one. I got 20-pound line. We spooled it up with a big topwater walking bait to catch some, honestly, even more aggressive largemouth bass than the smallmouth you just saw. Let's get on the water. So it is spook day and I've got the Lew's Speed Spool RX, same exact one I've been throwing with the plopper in rivers on the 14-pound monofilament. Now I've got it spooled up with fresh 20-pound monofilament because I'm throwing not only a larger topwater, also one that I want to deal or handle the coils of the line better, and I feel like the heavier pound test you go, the less coiling we're gonna have as this thing stretches. We're yet to find that out. But I can't lie, I took a few test casts before we began, and this thing casts unbelievable. Good grief. Gosh. Yeah. No problem casting a normal sized topwater on monofilament. Now, 7.5 rod helps with getting distance, but I mean, like, we'll see after weeks and weeks of this line potentially getting memory as monofilament tends to do. But if that's the case,
I can just put new fresh mono on. It's a lot cheaper. And a few things to keep in mind for today's conditions. The lake I'm fishing today, I'll be probably 15 to 20 feet of water for the depth. Grass is gonna rise about halfway up into the water column. And so it's possible a fish takes me down into the grass where a braid would be much more helpful to get that fish out. But I think a lot of these fish are so aggressive, they just come up and slam it on top of the water. I can probably fight them in a relatively open water fashion. So I really think monofilament for this style of fishing, open water ploppers, open water walking baits, open water poppers, at least I'm coming around to the idea that maybe it's better. I mean, castability is for sure there. And for me, like I talked about, the vast majority of the time with the plopper, I had just as good of a hookup ratio and just as good of fighting. So let's see if walking bait over heavy grass yields the same, what's the right word I'm looking for? Easeability? That's not the word. Success rate, I guess you could call it. Either way, I just want to see, do I get better cast or the same cast? Do I get better hookup ratio or the same hookup ratio? And do I get a better landing ratio than braid? I think I have so far. Oh, no way. I've caught a dang fish as I'm burning my sexy dog across the top of the water because I thought the cast was bad. Okay, nope, I guess the cast was not bad. Oh my gosh. Unreal. Unreal. Oh, he's got buddies with him too. Get in here, 3-pounder. Yes, sir. Gosh. All right, no boat flipping problems with the monofilament. Just a tubosaurus right there. Chrome, sexy dog. Hard knock. Get him coming out of that deep water. Well, my friend, thank you. Looped a little bit. And that is one thing I'll be looking at pretty intently as I fish this bait tonight is how twiny, I guess the word I'm gonna use to describe it, does my line get after it gets stretched? Because usually monofilament and sometimes fluorocarbon retains memory. And I've really noticed, especially monofilament, the more it gets stretched like immediately, the quicker the coils start to form. And so after just one fish catch, we did have some coils on my line. Is it gonna lead to hooking the front hook more? Not sure. So gonna keep track of that. And maybe could I mitigate that by just retying more often? I mean, that's not a bad thing to do anyways. And one variable you can see here on the water is a little bit of ripple. That can make a walking bait do even funnier things. Maybe it skip up in the air or dive its nose extra far down. And the more you have your line bunched up near the nose, the more often it's gonna get caught. Gosh, it cast so good though. That cast was too deep, but I'm gonna burn it in and then start my retrieve. Okay, well, it did catch the hooks there, but I feel like that was a really tough scenario to put it through. I'm not sure if that was the line's fault or just user error. Gosh, there's something about fresh mono, the way it casts. Oh, it's so nice. Burn it and stop it. Retrieve. Nope, did not get caught. Not gonna lie, it may cast better than braid of the same diameter, at least fresh mono. I know it can get memory over time, but fresh stuff casts so good. Gosh, I am seeing them follow on scope, but they're not eating. It's gotta be a color thing. Maybe they want just a standard white. Well, as I talked to my wife on the phone and retied this bait, a few things happened that you're gonna see on the screen. So I tied it, then realized the Palomar I tied, maybe I got a time slower with monofilament as compared to fluorocarbon, but there was a lot of memory. And so I retied it. I made sure when I cinched it down to really like pull it at the end and especially take my thumb and like stretch the line because the memory up here is fine. The memory down here closer to the bait, again, where the crux of the knot was before it was tightened, has a lot of memory. And so I'm trying my best to just like straighten it out here. Something you don't have to do with fluorocarbon lines, and of course, not with braided lines that I'm not liking with mono so far. Maybe there's better monos than the one that I'm using for knot strength or anti-memory. Either way, let's continue our testing with hopefully a better color for these fish. I've never caught them good on chrome here. I don't know why I put that on. I guess I thought because it was sunny, they would want that, but on scope, I'm seeing them come up, look at it and say, nah, I don't want that. Oh, there's one. There we go. Okay, it was a color thing. Amazing. Get yourself in here. I got them all kind of wonky hooked. Honestly, took a little bit more of a walk backward lean to really feel like I set the hook well that far from the boat, but get in here. Not a giant like I have been catching here, but grateful to have you. Another one on the monofilament walking bait. I mean, the hook, look at that chest mount angle. Hook got him pretty dang good. No complaints from me there. All right, thank you, my friend. A little chunker. And yeah, Got a little bit of monofilament memory going on. I'm just not gonna touch it and hope that it doesn't really affect hooking the front hook at all, but I kind of think it will. It really is interesting though, how it's just getting that memory in like the first foot of line around the bait itself. You think if I set the hook, it'd be evenly dispersed around the entirety of the line pathway, but I guess not. Gosh, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's a big one. That's a big one. That is stretching my string right there. Came out of the water for it. That was insane. Holy cow, giant. Giant. Let's get the net here. Let's get the net here. Let's get the net. How big? How big? 4 pounds at least. Gosh. I like how it's fighting. I like how I kind of got a little bit of bend in the line to not pull the hooks out. Oh my gosh, nice one. Get in here. It was a color thing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look at that 4-pound Minnesota chunk. Got the sexy dog just T-boned in his face. Gosh, what a chunker. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Look at that. I got a shadow on the fish. Sorry, y'all. Wasn't hooked. Oh gosh, he's bleeding. Darn it. Gosh, honestly, wasn't hooked by much. Beautiful girl's bleeding pretty bad. Gonna let her go without getting a weight. She's almost 4 pounds. And another fish gives me a chance to see how much it has stretched my string. And yeah, I mean, look at that line. Y'all probably can't see that right there. Bad line curl. My chest mount angle can. I don't know. I'm liking it more for ploppers than I am for poppers so far, but at least I'm landing these fish and I'm getting a good hook in them, so it's not like the stretch is really impeding my hookup or my landing. So maybe the coiling of the line is just something you kind of got to deal with monofilament from like an optics perspective. It doesn't actually affect it in practice. It just looks worse. Well, many casts after that fish and I still have yet to once hook my line on the bait. I don't know, it may not be an issue, but 3 things I have noticed. One being, if it hits and I immediately start my retrieve, it automatically porpoises. Almost feel like that's due to the stretch in the line. The second one that I know is due to the stretch in the line is the further away I am, like the very beginning of my cast out there, if I start retrieving it with the same power, the same vigor that I always have with braided line, it also porpoises or nosedives. And so I just don't think that far away I can use the same exact technique. Kind of have to go slower, more like a pop, pop, pop to get that thing to look spooky. Within 20 yards or so, I can definitely work it like I would with braid, but on braid, on a cast that long, I can work it fast from the very beginning and it has the same exact action on the bait as it does 5 feet from the boat. You can't say that with mono. So a little bit of a technique adjustment. Oh, hold up. Did I catch the hooks? For the first time, did I? No, I caught a leaf. Whether it's mono or braid, they don't keep you out of leafs. And I feel like I had a third thing I was gonna say, and I've totally forgotten it at this point. So, just 2 things I've noticed, having to do both with the stretch. All right, this spot is fished out. Let's go somewhere else. Oh, hello. Hello, got it, that was cool. Oh, look at them all down there. Look at them on that NBT. There's about 7 of them. Oh gosh. And I did not get the biggest one, darn it. Let me back away, see if they'll reset up on that spot. I do like fighting them on mono, although I didn't get a small one either. Goodness gracious, I did not get a small one. Did not get a small one. I feel really in control when I'm fighting them on mono. Oh gosh, boat flipping 4-pounders. Oof. Oofda. Strike King sexy dog. In bone, or whatever this color is, oyster. Let me zoom out just to show you the absolute beauty of that fish right there. Minnesota gold. How long is that fish? I wonder. I'm running my fishing chaos tournament. I don't think he's gonna beat anything I have currently. No, he wouldn't. Oh, God, I gotta get an Instagram story though. Thank you, little girl, or big girl probably. It's probably a better name for her. And it looks like the line is actually a little bit straightened out. So maybe over time it's straightened out, or that fish got it straightened. Although again, it's still wiry right by the bait, but I still haven't hooked it, so who cares? Let's get another one. Again, far out from me with a walking bait like this. On mono, I've got to give it more of a glide bait pull as opposed to a wrist rod tip twitch. Oh gosh. Oh, I burned it in. hoping that would trigger him. I caught the hooks, didn't seem to matter. Fish still came after it and missed it. And then the line got off the hooks. You know what, I'm kind of getting impressed. But every time I do that, I pull the fish off the spot. So now they're all under my boat. Come on, come on. Pause, retrieve. Oh, eat it, eat it, eat it. Oh my gosh, that was insane. That was insane. Oh my gosh, feels big. Feels big, feels big. Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. What in the world? There we go. God. It's like he forgot he was hooked for a second. Get in here. Yes, sir. That was sick. That was unreal. If y'all can't tell from the uncut channel, if it hasn't come out yet, it will soon, and this channel, I'm at a lake that I love. This place is insane. Top water, glide baits, Alabama rig, crankbait, you name it, they chew it here. And with the water as calm as it is, I can position my boat perfectly, shine scope over there to see if a bass is coming to chase it, and then work it like I know there's a bass under there, because, well, I do. Come eat it, come eat it, come eat it, come eat it. Oh man, my rod hit my trolling motor. He ate it again though, it don't matter. Oh my gosh, that's insane. That's insane. I need to turn my scope on so y'all can see what I'm doing here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, get in here, yes sir. Not very big, 2.5 pounds, but beautiful. Oh, 3-pounder. Thank you, friend. Oh, ooh, you're behind it. Pause it. Fast twitch, fast twitch, fast twitch. Come on, come on. Yeah, just watch the bait now. Just watch the bait now. Oh my gosh. Come on, come on, that never works. Why does that never work? Dang it. I ran out of room. All right, last cast here, and then we got one more spot across the lake, but I mean, look at that sunset. Beautiful. What a place to test monofilament on camera. That's my job. Goodness, I lied. One more. All right, now one more. Now we're done with the spot. And the second spot with fully productive cast, meaning that my line didn't wrap around any of the treble hooks on my topwater. So I'm liking it so far. Let's go to the last spot, probably just chest cam because the sun is really going down. Actually, I forgot my camera has dual native ISO, which means I can crazy overexpose and it kind of looks like daylight, even though my chesty does not match how the Sony looks right now. Man, you really gotta be technical with how you work a spook on mono that far from the boat, or else it looks like a spook that's had one too many. Those might be bass though. I'm gonna go fast, fire them up. Yep, those are bass. Those are bass. Y'all shot up for it. Like you wanted it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Come on, come on, come on. Eat it right here. Eat it right here at the boat. Eat it right here at the boat. Oh, come on. I just don't think you slow it down in that scenario. I think you just keep going and hope that eventually one of them gets upset enough he's gonna eat it. Oh, oh no! I broke off. You don't do that with braid. Interesting. My line snapped. 20-pound mono. I mean, I know I'm slinging it around, but must have been a weak point created by a fish, or maybe just all that casting on very, very twiny line caused a weak point. Oh, I don't know. But at least it's a sexy dog, so she floats. Where'd you break, huh? Right at the knot. Probably because I tied a Palomar in a long time ago. What, 3 hours ago? The wiriness caused by that knot made it weak. Right, let me show you guys in real time here the process of tying the Palomar and why it gets kind of wiry. There we go, wrapped it around. Maybe I'll try not wetting it. There's no way. I at least gotta hold it with my tongue to make sure it cinches down properly. All right, it's tight. And then, oh my gosh, look at that. It looks like someone just curled their hair. Or the toy store guy at Elf who says 6-inch ribbon curls. And not only is it coiled right there, it looks like it's weak. Maybe I bought a bad mono. I don't know, it was cheap. Someone tell Seaguar to make good monofilament. Although, I'm probably the guy for that. Oh my gosh, there's one. There's one. I think Seaguar actually used to make monofilament. Maybe they'll bring it back if they know that I'm gonna use it. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. Just made a random cast out there and was talking to y'all. Biggest of the night? One of the biggest. Gosh, oh my goodness. Get in here, whoa. Okay, I like this lake. As if I didn't already know that, I really do. Goodness gracious, I love Minnesota. I love the sexy dog, I love you guys. That fish didn't even give me a second after it hit the water before he started blowing up on it. Just a beautiful 3 pounder, 3 and change. Goodness. See ya. See ya, see ya. And oh my goodness, we are wiry. I'm just gonna go ahead and cast it out there, even though I can, like, on a tight line, I can feel how wiry it is. Oh, big wake, big wake. A big wake, got him. Oh my gosh, came off. No. Oh, he's right there. He's right here. He's right here. Got him. No, he pulled off. Are my hooks bent out? They probably are. No, they're fine. This is crazy. These fish are going nuts at sunset. It's interesting. I'm noting how the more the sun goes down, the less committed. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Yeah, the less committed they get to actually eating it. I don't know if they can't see it as good or what the deal is, but yeah, you see, won the world. During the daytime, they don't miss. It's like slap, got it. You know what? It's not mono. I probably shouldn't be throwing this in a mono testing video, but I bet you we could finish the video with the Strike King Hogfather Jr. glide bait, huh? I bet we could. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I figured. Oh, come on. You know you want a little glide bait action. You know you want a little glide bait action. I knew it. I knew I could finish the evening off with a glide bait big one. Oh yes, oh yes. Come on. Get in here, my friend. That was fun. That was fun. That was not a bad time. That was not a bad time. 4 pounder, come on. Yeah. Oh, on the glide. Nothing to hate about that, my friends. Oh, we got a little bit of water on the lens, but it's no worry. Look at that. Good way to end the day right there, my friends. Gosh, I love this. Mwah. All right, last cast on this beautiful evening. Caught a nice one on one of my new favorite glides and tested out some monofilament. That's a dang good evening.
Now, if y'all watch the channel, you know that very rarely in these comparison testing type videos where I compare a lure color or one type of worm to another type of worm or the drop shot versus the Ned rig, very rarely do I come out with like a definitive answer of here's how I'm going to change my fishing moving forwards. But to be honest, I do have a definitive answer today, and that is if I'm allowed, as in the cover I'm fishing around, the current I'm fishing around, the underwater structure, if it allows to throw monofilament on my treble hook topwaters, I'm going to do it. And that's for 2 reasons. One, the fighting, the whole hook set fighting bite process and landing, I was ultra impressed with. And number 2 is because the cost of monofilament is just so much less. Now, even though, yes, I get free fishing line, Seaguar is an amazing brand to work with. Hopefully they come out with a mono one day. But my job as a fishing influencer is not only to teach you guys how to become better anglers, but I want in every aspect I can to try to fish with gear, and line as a part of that, that most anglers can associate with and can fit inside their budget. And so if you love throwing treble hook topwaters and you've heard me for years say you gotta have braided line to do it, you really don't. You can, for the most part, throw it on monofilament. Now, you may hear me get to the end of this and say, Tyler, it's not just treble hook topwaters. You can throw spinner baits. You can throw treble hooked glide baits. You can throw treble hooked topwaters. Heck, you throw monofilament maybe on your dang Ned rigs. By no means will the testing stop here. I'm gonna continue to try monofilament on several different types of categories, but at least for now, you can bet that I have changed my opinion on braid versus resin or braid versus mono for treble hooked topwaters. It does work. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. I love doing these testing types of videos. If you wanna see one of my last TRF tackle time videos, it'll be up here in this corner where I compare the drop shot Ned rig kind of combo together. And if the bait caster is something you struggle with casting, whether it's the backlashes or just kind of a general how-to video, I've got a bunch of those. Either search Tyler's Reel Fishing bait caster or Tyler's Reel Fishing backlash on YouTube, or click this clickable link right here. As always, the exact tackle I used from the rod, the reel, the bait, and maybe the line link one day will be linked down there in the video description. My name's Tyler. As always, it's a pleasure, and we'll see y'all next time right here on TRF.